Running. All right. It's a beautiful day here, and it's a beautiful evening there for wherever you are, Jacob. I appreciate you for coming on to this Broken Success Stories podcast. And it's been a few years, what, 5, 6 years since we've last seen each other in person.
Oh yeah, a long time. I can't even remember. But I still remember one of your webinars, your sales webinars that looped me in and got me to take the leap to do the course. So the lessons that you kind of taught still last after all these years.
It's good. That's good. Well, I think the reason why it lasted because you were so coachable. I still remember you're one of the guy in the back and asking all these questions. I'm going, when is he gonna stop? Like, I think that's the greatest thing is, the more inquisitive you are, the more questions you ask. The way that I look at it is that, people have 1,000 dumb questions asked. The more they ask, the less dumber they get because they've asked all the dumb questions already. So you become smarter by default, right?
Yeah,
So you get
yeah.
good at it. I'm so happy to got you back on this one-on-one and belly to belly as much as we can, virtual belly, to hear how things are going. I mean, you know what? Let's start off with people know me. That's fine. That's all. I don't need to tell how I've been around 28 years, long, long in the tooth and all that. I'm a saber tooth tiger now, in equivalent to broker years. But tell us about Jacob Perez. Where you came from? How did we connect it? And we'll go from there.
Well, I mean, I'm getting pretty old in the industry now. I've been a mortgage agent for 8 years, and 8 years pretty much ages you because I think you're as old as how many files you do. So I think that's aged me quite a bit over the years. But prior to being a mortgage agent, I was in the corporate world. I was doing everything from digital marketing, finance. I got a master's in data analytics. I was doing some project management and kind of any job I had, I was always investing in real estate on the side. And I always prioritized a job where the work hours weren't too crazy. So I can continue to prioritize investing in real estate. And, I one time got a job opportunity for a big time paying job. I did about nine interviews and I didn't get the job after 9 interviews. And that was when I kind of said, I'm done with corporate. And I always thought of being a mortgage agent or real estate agent as a backup plan. And, I got my mortgage license and I said, I'm going to help show people how to invest in real estate. And the person, I wasn't looking at other mortgage agents. I was really just looking at Grant Cardone, and I was emulating Grant Cardone, who was somebody I idolized at the time. And I think my marketing looked a lot different than the other mortgage agents, and I was able to kind of pick up a ton of traction and build a really big residential business. So I was helping a lot of people on the residential side, the 1 to 4 unit space, and that was great. And that really provided a big client base, a lot of money. Everything was going amazing. And then, eventually, when your core clients you did 5, 10, 15 deals for start wanting to look at
Yeah.
something bigger and you can't service them, that was a pain point for me. So eventually we had to get the commercial practice off the ground. And, it's been a few years and, you really learn by how many transactions you do. So we're at the point now where it's like, I got a commercial deal. I know exactly where it's going to go and things are pretty smooth from there finally.
Right on. Right on. That's awesome. That's awesome. But when we met, I think back in 2018, what was like back in those days? Like you don't have like now you have like 40 odd brokers, but back then tell us what it was like there.
So back then I was probably like a 30 million agent or something like that, with one
On
admin
average, yeah.
and maybe I might get the odd commercial deal and maybe gatekeep the deal and try to figure it out myself and have a bumpy road in the process, right? So,
Yeah.
that was probably my approach. I'd probably done a couple of commercial deals, but, maybe lost the client for the lifetime in the process, right?
Yeah.
But that
Yeah.
was probably
Yeah.
where I stood at that point.
Yeah. And that's most brokers fall on themselves. Right? They get the client, they got the deal, they don't know to run with it, they don't know where to go. They just throw it left and right, and hopefully one of the lenders will be able to do it for them, right? And as we know, hope is not a good strategy, right?
Yeah.
I remember our initial conversation when you came on board, you were interested in coming to the workshop. Uh, you really were an inquisitive person, but I do remember saying, "Man, this guy's like a young little kid. Like, how old can he be? Did he just maybe out of high school?" You get this baby face, right? And I'm sure that's probably like the most aggravating it is when you're younger. It's like, how do I come across people that I'm serious? And I think you hit it right on, bang on, that you start marketing differently. You gave value, and I think that's what people want. Like, right? And they came to you for value, what you had between your ear, right? Instead of, it looks like a young punk ass kid. What does he know, right?
Yeah.
So I commend you for doing that. And I'm also a big fan of Grant Cardone too, 10X, right? And that's the reason why I got this off the really, really, like for me too, like for commercial financing when I had enough. I was 18 months in coming from commercial side from CIBC to mortgage broking, and I came from small business banking and corporate financing. Coming to residential markets, like this thing doesn't make any sense. Every lender's different. PDS, CDS is all over the map.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So that's cool. And I think you took it the right way. You went out to look for growth, and you got that. And look at today, right? Tell us about it. From one person to one admin to 40 agents now, Jacob.
Yeah, we have 40 agents. In terms of our underwriting team, I think right now we have 2 full-time underwriters. We definitely need a third. We have operated with as many as 4 at a time, but kind of we've realized that, you can have one underwriter who has the production of 2 underwriters if you have the right person, right? So I think it's just more about finding the right fit, making sure you pay them well and give them a good work environment, and then you can get a lot of deals done. And then own a brokerage with a couple of partners. We have about 40 something agents under the brand, and mostly residential agents. And residential is a beautiful business because residential is a funnel to your commercial business, just like the commercial business is a funnel to the residential business. So if you really can
Can be,
operate in
yes.
both spaces, you'll have a lot of benefits.
Ah, so I think that's what your aha moment was, right? It's like, hey, if I can do commercial, I'll bring in the big fish that also have residential properties, right?
Absolutely.
That's the best way in the door, right? It's like you can bypass all the gatekeeper. Hey, I can do your apartment building. What else do you have?
Yeah. Yeah, you look at the net worth sheet, you start logging a few mortgages, you start paying attention to a few things. I mean, I actually just did a seminar for about 50 realtors yesterday, just introducing them to the world of commercial real estate, encouraging them to get educated in this space. And one of my points that I thought was pretty funny was that, one thing I wasn't expecting when I started to promote my commercial services and things like that was how many leads I would get referred that weren't even commercial leads. People just thought they were commercial. So it would just be, hey, I want to buy a duplex in a holding company, or hey, I want to buy a triplex or a fourplex. They think it's commercial. It's not actually the world of commercial. And you scoop in a lot of deals easily that way too.
Yep. Great way to feed the army that you have, right? The small little army you have. So that's awesome. Now, so tell us about the 50 realtors presentation you did. How many presentations have you done beforehand? Like
Well,
in say,
this was our first
I
time
remember when
doing
we
this
first.
type of. Oh, go ahead.
I remember when we first met, you were just getting involved in real estate. You were getting involved in doing the investors networking and all that. All right.
Yeah, so everyone builds their business up a different way. A lot of people use real estate agents. A lot of people use, Google ads, Facebook ads, whatever it might be. For me, it's always been getting public speaking appearances, as many as I possibly can. So I've always lined myself up with real estate coaching programs specifically and I would always lead with my real estate investing, right? And then it would kind of turn into, here's how you hack the banking system. So originally, what all my presentations were about was, here are the exact rental ratios you need in order for the property to not affect your borrowing power for the next purchase. So you can buy your max purchase price 5, 6, 7 times. And we were getting a lot of people who made, $50,000 to $70,000 to 5, 6, 7, 8 properties, just combining burst strategy and what I would call zero impact properties. So properties where the metrics are so good they don't impact your qualifying power. And so those speaking gigs, just like your business, will compound. So then eventually I spoke at some bigger conferences like the multifamily conference in Toronto. I was on stage in front of a couple thousand multiple years in a row.
Nice.
And now kind of through that, we have the notoriety to throw our own events, fill rooms and things of that nature.
Yes. That's awesome. That's awesome to hear. See, I think a lot of brokers don't realize this. It's like, just get out there and do it. I'm sure you weren't brought up to you weren't born to be a public speaker, to be on stage. You just learned how to deal with it, right? And I think you hit the point bang on it. The value that you brought in, I call it like reverse engineering financing. in my technical terminology, right? And you call it, house hacking, which is same, just different terminology. Just be you, yeah, whoever you are, use your own verbiage, right? I think that's awesome. It's like when I was telling realtors that I don't understand selling houses, but I understand selling commercial property. If I brought pre-approved numbers based on that property, I don't care what investors come to the table, I can finance it. So the realtor's job is like, hey, that's easy.
Yeah.
All right. So, I got Sue here. He does 75% loan to value for the loan. This place is self-debt service, 8% cap at the time, right? Those cap rates are not as easy to find anymore. Now it's like a force cap rate pretty much you have to do, right? But I think you got it right. Just work backward. And if this number, if it's cash flowing X amount of number, it won't affect your personal income. It won't affect you qualifying. And you can move on until you hit the limit of whatever it is that the lender allows it. Some are 5, some are 8, some are 9, some are 11. I don't know what it is anymore in the broker channel. I've been doing it for many years. So, and I think you stumbled onto the secret that I came across with you as well many years ago. Is like I started teaching you guys, right, graduates. And at the beginning, I was kind of like scarcity mindset. I don't want to teach. I'm going to create competition. And I'm so glad I invested in myself like you did, Jacob. You do coaching, real estate coaching, and so personal development coaching. I'm sure you went to Grant Cardone or Tony Robbins like I had to, right? We spent a fortune on ourselves, didn't you? I can
Yeah.
tell, right?
Yeah, all kinds of stuff. It's a combination of, I think somebody taught me this a long time ago. Super smart guy who made a lot of money, and he taught me that the biggest mistake you can make is to let one bad coaching program stop you from pursuing the next coaching program. So a lot of coaching programs are out there. Guess what? They're not all going to knock it out the park. Or sometimes you're going to feel like it didn't teach you anything, and then 1 year later, one dot is going to connect and it's going to make a huge benefit for you. Like I'll give you a perfect example. And one time I did one of Scott Peckford's training programs. I was a brand new mortgage agent, and it was all about this presentation for realtors. And I was kind of like, okay, this doesn't sound, I don't think it fucking means anything. And, I did this presentation for a bunch of different realtors. I tried it out. I tested it. I didn't really get anywhere. But then one person I connected with on this presentation invited me to speak at one event. And then that one event had another speaker, and that speaker had a massive YouTube channel, and they invited me on their YouTube channel. And those videos still residually continue to drip me deals, right? So you don't know where the dots are going to connect, right? But you need to keep investing in yourself, because I'm a big believer that, you're either going up or you're going down. There's no such thing as this, right? So you want to make sure that you're going up the incline and not falling down. You can adjust the slope of it, but you can't go flat type thing.
Yeah. One of my personal development coach always tell me, Sue, you're either growing or you're dying. There's no neutral. There's no, I'm stuck in gear, like neutral gear. No, you're dying at that point. You're just not knowing yet. And the minute you realize is that you have no business, that it's too late. Yeah. That's great. That's great. I love it. And that's the reality. If you're not growing, how do you inspire others? How do you bring other people? Right? If I'm scared of traveling around the world doing my work, how do I get across to my other brokers that want to join Jacob's team? It's like, hey, yeah, you can do what you want. You can still travel, you can still do mortgage brokering. Sue has done it. All he has to do is wake up to 2, 3 a.m. in the morning to do his work, take a nap in the afternoon to catch up on the lack of sleep. But you got 8 to 10 hours a day where like do whatever you want. Be a tourist if you want. I'm tourist out anymore. I don't do that anymore. But it's like I have a life around work now. I have a whole entire 8-hour full day to do whatever I want, right? To really enjoy what life is all about. Yeah, mortgage broking is a great vehicle for us, for everybody. And as you know, you're a real estate investor firsthand, like me, right? I love investing in real estate, and I became a mortgage broker because I got frustrated getting no on my 11th house, right? So I was like, what do you mean no? I got 10 already. This is 11. Like, I need 12 to make a dozen.
Yeah.
So it's like, so we know what you're doing. You're fixing and flipping. We don't allow that. It's like, what? I paid everything back on time.
Yeah.
So, and that's for what you speaking now from experience, and over time, it's no longer a real estate event where you're trying to market yourself. And it's like, hey, I'm just teaching what I'm doing. I'm just telling what my investors are doing. You guys want to come along? It's like an easy handoff, right? Um, so it's amazing that you've also shared a similar trajectory that I have over the years too, coming from an investor standpoint to becoming a mortgage broker and then growing the team. So tell us about the next part of your business now. I know that you got a kid coming, you got two already, you've been taken care of, and big family, so bigger payday needs there required
Oh
to be
yeah.
a dad these days.
Yeah, we need more and more bedrooms in the house every year, it seems like, with these kids coming. But you know what? I think the beauty of the commercial side is like compared to the residentials. With residential, what's your upside, right? Your upside is more transactions. And more transactions means more little annoyances, and you need to hire more staff. And it's a scaling mechanism that it is kind of like, I'm not going to compare it to like owning a variety store, but let's say you owned a variety store, you make small margin and you have to do another one and another one and another one, right? And it's not that the margins
Numbers, yep.
are small, right? But on commercial, and I talked about this in my presentation, is that, I said my average commercial commission is, call it 4 or 5x my average residential. But that 4 or 5x is actually going to continue to grow because I'll start when you're new in commercial, you might get the $1-2 million deals. But then maybe you get your foot in the door on the $10 million deals. And guess what? I had a deal hit my plate today, $50 million. And I got a chance to finance a $50 million today. So
Nice.
you get yourself in the competition, right? And there's different strategies, right? Like one strategy might be, hey, why don't I get involved in the development so I can gatekeep the financing aspect and I can get a nice fee in the process, right? Like there's a lot of ways that you can level up. So if you have a great commercial career, kind of like when I did your training, you had this slide on the presentation that we were all eating up, and it was a slide where your transactions were going down year over year, but your commissions were going up, right? And I think the thing with commercial is like your transactions can stay the same and your commission can just keep going up, right? It's just getting yourself involved in better deals, right?
Correct. Yeah. I was weaning myself out from residential. I saw the numbers were going up. I'm working 7 days a week now, about 12, 14 hours to getting close to 400 grand at the time, right? And it's like, I got one administrative assistant. I think he's going to kill himself if I push him more.
Yeah.
To the point where I had 5 guys I'm training at that time too. So I'm gearing them up to take more of the deals, right? But then just like what you found out, I was like, a lot of it's babysitting. A lot of it's like, hey guys, you're not as coachable as me. Maybe because I have a lot of invested interest like you are, right? We have a lot of invested interest in our business. We are very coachable. Matter of fact, I find that the most successful people in the business are very coachable. The ones that are struggling, I'm here to help you succeed, not here to create a disaster. But that's what you guys are doing, and you're not listening very well. You're not being coachable. So I think what you mentioned, what I like is that yes, commercial deals you can grow and grow and grow and retain the amount of clients that you have. And you're correct. I limited myself to 50 because I find that 4 commercial clients per month is more than enough to make anybody over the moon, like in commercial. And sure. And the reason being is, Jacob, you probably realize this, is like, hey, their portfolio is also growing year by year with me. So it's not just I'm financing the house over and over again every 3 to 5 years. I'm financing 6, 8, 9, 10, 12 property, right? And adding more, leveraging all of that. And sometimes I leverage, I'm pretty sure, right? You look at their deal, you look at their assets, say, hey, Tom, I got a great idea. Let's put this in a portfolio, refinance the whole thing with a different lender, pull to equity, and buy the next one up, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I think what it is the key thing is grow with your client is what you're saying, right? Your clients are growing. You don't need more clients. Just get the high value client that sees you and maybe help them like what you're doing, like what I'm doing now is getting to development. That's the big money. You get them to development, game over for any other broker. They are not getting the foot in the door ever, like ever. That's the epitome of successful real estate investors get into that game. Right? It's no longer like 5, 6%, 8% ROI, NOI, or cap rate, anything like that anymore. It's like double digit jump. Right? So that's why I built the Valley Resort. That's why I built the one. I'm building the one in Vietnam. It's just like, hey, you make 100x on development. It's just insane, right? Of course,
Yeah,
it's not quite possible in Canada these days anymore. But who knows what the future is? But the world is the oyster, right? Right, Jacob? You
yeah.
got you got commercial financing. Uh, who was that? I think Rahim Lakhani, was he in your group? No, he was in the next group afterwards when I came back to Toronto. He went to Portugal. He used what I taught in Portugal. I gotta bring him on the show to talk about it. And he says, "So, Portugal, Commonwealth banking, what you taught works. Those lenders here, executive summary here, debt cost ratio, it works." So, that's what the words he used on me. And I'm sure if you go to the States, same thing. Commercial finance in States, same as Canada. Surprisingly, Mexico is the same. They're using the American system, so not much different. Right?
Yeah,
How
same
cool is that,
fundamentals.
right? Yeah, same fundamental. How cool is that? Rehab, refurbish. They just use slightly different terminology, but it's just, hey, just refinancing. After you
Hmm.
fix it up, refinance. Right? I'm so stoked. You know what? It's been amazing, and I love what you had to share so far. I'm looking forward to hearing you more and more about it. But hey, what's a secret for a mortgage broker today that are sitting on the fence about humming how about commercial financing, or they're looking at, should I leave this industry because it's really not doing well for me? Because I'm sure a few like that, right? What's
Yeah,
your advice for them?
well, I think, there's a couple pieces, right? So at the end of the day, if you can't get your residential business off the ground, you should be able to get it off the ground. So if you can't get it off the ground, you need to look in the mirror and just kind of go, am I putting the effort? Because this is what I tell some new agents who join our brokerage, and we coach and mentor new agents. A lot of people tell people to network. If you don't know what you're doing, networking might do more damage than actually benefit to you, because when you go networking and someone asks you a question, you don't have the response rate on the spot, and you say, "No, what? Yeah, I'm not sure. No, what? I'm going to go do some research and get back to you." That's an okay answer sometimes, but in certain situations, you just lost the opportunity to work with people. So you got to really study up and make sure you know what you're doing, right? And then if you are a successful res agent and you're just not liking the way the industry is trending, and Sua, you called this out before anyone called this out. I think people are starting to realize it now that there's a nice discrepancy between the banks and the broker channel on rate. But if you want to be a commercial agent, I said this in the presentation yesterday, you have to be willing to look bad, because you're starting as a beginner. On res, you might have your proven process that you knock out of the park and you provide the good service, you know what to do every single time. But you might need to get uncomfortable again and be willing for a deal to not go perfect, right? And
Yep.
if you want to be a little
Learn.
bit safe, yeah, and if you want to be a little bit safer with it, just start with the refinances. Don't put yourself behind the gun on a purchase with a conditional window and things like that. Target refinances specifically, and those are the best kind of deals to learn on.
There you go. There you go. Worst case, I can always stick with the current lender.
Yeah,
Renew.
yeah, and I
Smart,
think
smart.
I think the thing with commercial too, that I think we're going to talk a little bit about, like, hey, what's your aha moment? What was your moment in commercial where it all kind of came together? And I think for me, I was looking at a lot of conventional, a lot of bank deals, a lot of just conventional banks, 75 LTV, 25-year AM, things like that. And if you don't deeply understand bridge financing and you also don't deeply understand CMHC, you're never going to put it all together, because commercial is actually more comparable to private than I would say than it is comparable to res. And it's all about
Yep.
the exit, right? That's the thing for all the lenders. What's the exit? So with commercial,
That's
you kind of need to understand your exit deeply. And if you don't understand CMHC, you can't really sell a bridge lender on a deal without properly
yeah,
conveying that exit.
yeah. They want to know when they're getting money back.
Yeah.
But this is a purchase. This is a construction. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah. I think that's the understanding. Like, we understand the fundamental, we understand the process itself, whereas most people don't quite get it. Like I think mortgage broker in general would just work by autopilot. You got their license, go get some money, right? Or go get the client. It doesn't work that way with commercial. And you are correct. Um, I remember my first few graduates, he said, Sua, why is the lender asking me about exit strategy? They're just buying a business. They're just starting. What do you mean exit? It's like, and I have to teach them, like, the reason they're asking this is because they want to know if this person has a goal, this person is like business minded. Do they have long-term thinking? It's not about, are they going to sell tomorrow and, be successful and sell tomorrow? It's not going to happen, right? We know that. But it's like, then they want to know that this is a sophisticated investor. They have put some thought into it. They have look at plan B and plan C, because exit usually is not straightforward. You can't just say, okay, this everything goes right. It's we exit this way and see make see with finances. No, there's what if they don't? The lender like currently holding the money, the private money or construction or bridge financing, they don't want it on the books. They only have that money for temporary. That's what bridge financing is. That's how they make money. They cycle the money over and over and over again. That's how they're profitable, right? And I'm sure you understand, right? A lot of Schedule B bank and like Schedule 2, and they don't want the money in the book. That's not their game. That's not their profit. That's not their business strategy. Okay? Their strategy. Sometimes their strategy, like I know some credit unions, they say, so we do the construction finance for 18 months, but 24 months extension. That's it. They need to get off the books. They cannot stay, or we'll foreclose on them. So it's like, ooh, okay, this like I better have to exit in place. If you don't have to exit in place, like you said, Jacob's got the MLI Select, the UTI undertaking to insure certificate already done. Any lender would say, hey, here's construction money.
Yeah.
Right. So that's amazing. That's amazing at the growth that you have since 2018, right? That's incredible, man. That's like 40 agents on a marketing with a brand already. And 3 kids coming. Next thing you know, 6 kids coming. I have 80 agents. So
let's go.
I'm
open for everything.
What are you looking for? Who are you looking for? Maybe just before we go, tell us about what kind of agents you're looking for, and where is your business? Is it across Canada or is it each province? What's your area?
Right now, we're licensed across the country. We're doing deals everywhere. Like, commercial side, it's like commercial real estate broker. We're operating everywhere. So Ontario is our biggest province, and Alberta is very close second. A lot of activity happening in Alberta. And in terms of the agents, like, I would say I love to take on a brand new agent with no experience who I believe in. Because look, if you're a mortgage agent, if you got your mortgage license, doesn't really mean a lot to me. No offense, very easy to get. But hey, if you have a successful podcast, if you've built a brand, if you have an audience of some kind, we could teach you mortgages. You can do very well, right? Even when we're hiring for staff for roles, a lot of times we'll look at the financial advisors of the banks. For me, I'd rather see the commission salesman in the mall selling cell phones who just got a little charisma. Like, so for me, it's more just about like the right person. And I think this can all be taught. Yeah. And you have, at the end of the day, it's just all about customer service, right? Like, do you like giving someone a good experience, right? That's really what it comes down to. And, what better experience than being served quickly, being taught, educated, and helping someone make money? That's the best experience you could possibly give someone. So that's kind of like where we focus.
Yeah, what I remember hearing from you is the words that come out of your mouth is resonate. What I heard before is like your attitude determines your altitude.
Yeah,
right? And I think that's what you're looking for. You're looking for the right person with the right attitude. You can train anything, and I truly believe that. I mean, anybody can learn commercial financing, but if you're not coachable, it doesn't matter what I teach you. You're not going anywhere. I say go meet people, talk to people. Get to know people, right? You got to love people. And I think that's the game, the name of the game of this business. If you don't love people and you love more money and rather than the people, long term, it won't work out. Yeah, you're correct. So, man, I'm so pumped. I'm so stoked to see that you're doing so well. Here, I'm just reflecting back. I remember, I'm standing at the front and I'm a reluctant teacher. First of all, that was like my second time I've been in Toronto teaching, right? First time, Oh no, wait, that was you. That was the first time. That was the first time. It was a request from one of the guys that was in the group. They said, "Hey, I bring a whole bunch of people here. You gotta come." So, and I was like, "I'm teaching only in BC. I don't want to go all the way out there." You know, especially in autumn and the fall and winter's coming, right? You know, Ontario is not very kind to to people with this skin tone. I like Jamaican. I like Jamaican weather better.
Yeah.
But anyway, I still remember that, you know, you were sitting in the back saying you for me it's like must be a rookie broker. You know, I was asking a lot of these questions, and I was like, ah, it's good. It helps me stay on my foot and become a better teacher as a result of that. 'Cause asking, you know, having people asking questions that are uncomfortable for me on stage, because now I have to think on my foot and answer, right, without stammering, without stuttering. Um, and you know what? I enjoyed our conversation in those days. Even I'm not sure you remember, but I remember the time when you asked. It's like, man, in my head, I think this guy just pain in the ass. Why does he have so many like stupid questions? Like to me, but and that's the reason why I was a reluctant teacher. I was like very in my former work. I was a system in analyst, and all my colleagues told me, you know, Sue is a system analyst, not an analyst. You know, because I was like, I used to put people down often. It's like, are you stupid? Like, what do you mean you don't know how to do this? Get out of here.
Yeah.
So it's like, but it's been helpful because you know I've come to realize that hey, not everybody knows what you know, so not everybody's gonna be as charming as Jacob Perez, but I can teach you if you know how to reach out to people. If you want to be care about people, you know, you're in the right place. I think that's hard to teach, right?
Yeah, and I
So
think the
yeah,
one thing your
I am.
program really does is bring community, and you need community to learn, right? And not everyone's so lucky. A lot of brokers, they operate on an island. I've always worked in an office. I've always had other mortgage agents around me. I've never been the remote broker, and you know, I'm not saying that that's what everyone needs to do. You know, you don't need to necessarily invest in office space. You don't need to do all that stuff. But for me, it's been a huge benefit. Like my brother's sitting in the office right next to me. He's doing commercial deals. I'm doing commercial deals. We're competing. If he gets a big deal on the board, I'm like, oh my God, I'm a loser if I don't catch up to this guy. I got to beat him. So, you know, we have that type of competition, you know, and I think my brother and I are the perfect example of that. You know, we're two brokers. We have
Yeah.
the same personal network. We are operating the same niche, and we're both able to do 100 million plus and bring in deals from multiple sources. And we're not stepping over each other on deals, you know? So there's enough business for everybody. That's for sure.
That's the greatest thing about in our business, right?
Mm-hmm.
We would never be able to compete in the same market, especially the people that we know and our I would say our personal taste. Maybe you have a hobby in computers. You go to the computer fair. He has a hobby with car vehicles, or the golfer. He goes golfing. He goes to the car show. I don't care about car show. So there are a lot of investors who go to the car show. There's a lot of investors who go golfing. A lot of investors go to the computer tech.
Mm-hmm.
There are different markets for all of us. Right? That's awesome. Yeah, I love in the office environment too, and I do miss the days where I bounce ideas off of our colleagues. Like, hey, I got this impossible deal. I need to rack my brain. I need brainstorming. Guys can come in and tell me what you think. This is what I'm doing. I think it's not going to work because there's some problem here. There's something I don't see. And I think that's wonderful having your brother in the same business. Sometimes when you get these deals that are like, okay, this problem is going to be a pain in the butt. How do I overcome that, right? And I think
Yeah,
two brains are better than one. It's, it is.
absolutely.
Right on. So anything else anything else you want to share before we go? I know I appreciate your time, and I want to keep it as short as possible, succinct. And I
Yeah,
think you've given us a lot of goodies.
I think, you know, at the end of the day, for anyone out there who's looking to make a transition, feel free to reach out. I'm always happy to help kind of any agent who reaches out. The worst thing you can do is to put on a front that you know more than you actually know. Just be transparent about where you stand in your file. You know, I can't tell you how many times I have agents who will bring me a deal and say, hey, you know, I did my underwriting and this should work with 5% down at CMHC. Can you just give it a look? I said, no problem. I was like, oh, weird. I'm getting 22% down. And what were you using under the affordable metric to get it to this? He goes, oh, I just plugged it in Chat GBT. I'm like, what? Like, what? Like you can't
Yeah,
plug it in Chat
yeah.
GBT. And the thing is like a lot of brokers, when you're new, you don't even know the questions to ask. So you're
Mhm.
asking, what's the DCR? What's the down payment? How little down can you do on this deal? You should be trying to disqualify your client before you even get to that stage, because if your client doesn't know an appraisal costs $4,000, your client doesn't know that they might walk away from a deal after spending 10,000 due diligence, then you're just wasting your time anyway. So you want to get some of the harder conversations over with earlier in the journey before you start taking them down a road where they're never going to get across the finish line.
Yeah, I think you're correct. I mean, a lot of agents that I've come across over the years too is they're afraid to ask questions. Well, I mean, let's give them the benefit of the doubt. They don't know the right question to ask, first of all,
Mm-hmm.
right? And if they did, they're afraid to ask those questions too. In the commercial financing, you cannot be afraid to ask dumb questions. You cannot be afraid to ask the elephant in the room question. It's like you just came to Canada, you got 500,000 of down payment cash in your bank account. Like, hello,
Yeah.
we might have we might have a problem with AML. It's not about qualifying. It's not about any of that stuff, right? I mean, that servicing is great. You got 800 credits going great, but that's not even relevant. I think the biggest elephant in the room is, hey man, how are we going to show for this money, right?
Yeah.
So it's like at the end of the day, the lawyer is going to say, well, I'm not going to sign off on that,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
right?
that's the thing too, is
Waste
when you're in a new
waste everybody's time. Yeah.
yeah, when you're in a new landscape, right, and you're trying to put your best foot forward, that's when you can make those mistakes, right? Because you don't want to, like, you
Yep.
would vet a client deeper on residential when you know what you're doing, but when you're in the commercial world, you're not trying to, ruffle any feathers, because you're just trying to maintain the client, right? So that's when you're
Yep.
actually most at risk for litigation. And guess what? Like, in this industry, litigation exists. So you have to make sure that you're crossing your T's, you're dotting your I's. If there's litigation at you, like a lawsuit, something like that, doesn't mean you did anything wrong. You just want to make sure that when the audit gets done, you've done your job appropriately, right? And when it comes to commercial, like, you could have a great deal, but if it's presented wrong, or bank had a bad experience with you, they could just knock your deal off the desk pretty easily.
Yeah, there's a lot of repercussions when you do commercial finance that you realize over the years is that you can lose a lender forever too. Whereas a broker channel, they might slap you in the hand and say, "Hey, you go back teaching, go back to your learning." But on the commercial side, they can blacklist you, and that's it. That's the end of the game. I think you have a limited recourse in that matter. Insurance is also concerning if you're not experienced, you don't have training in that, and you're doing commercial deals. The insurer might say, "Hey, you didn't get the training, you didn't get the background for that. Why are you doing this?" So you should be, and they might not even insure that lawsuit. So you might be up the creek on your own. And you're correct. I think at the end of the day, you're correct. Get a mentor. If it's not with Sewell, Jacob's brother, right? One of us, anybody, don't just try it on your own. I think that the worst for me, and the reason why I started teaching was I started getting deals from clients who already got failed by a broker, and I said, "Oh my God, like this could have been a lawsuit. This could have been sued. You could be sued to death, or worse, right?" Um,
Or
you leave the
small. Hey, we,
industry,
we just we just
right?
burned 30 days of a conditional window on a great deal because the broker we're working with didn't know what they were doing. It could be so many different things, right? Like, I just had a deal sent to me, 21 days conditional, and it got brought to me on day 18 from another broker. And
Oh, good
first of all,
Lord.
21 days is already too short, but
That's
regardless,
correct. Yep.
there's nothing wrong with
Yep.
the deal. The deal's a slam dunk. Everything can work on the deal, but hey, no appraisal ordered, no environmental ordered, all this different stuff. And it's like, what have you been? You just wasted this client's time just because you
That's
wanted to
right.
try to figure it out, you know?
3 weeks. So 18. I mean, 18 days. What the heck?
Yeah.
That's
18 days
insane.
of,
Yeah.
yeah, who knows what was going on in those 18 days. But again, if you don't know the right questions to ask, then you certainly
True.
can be in a challenging spot.
Yeah, that's the biggest drop, and you're just wasting people's time at that point. You don't realize that the clock's ticking the minute that they gave you the documents, and it's not like the residential where they can easily give you another extension for a few more days or whatever, right? Commercial sometimes it's a one-time hit, that's it, right?
Mhm.
Unless you seriously got a really good approval coming, and it's just the bank just taking the time, the numbers work and all that, and you're a great broker. It's just that they have too much in the pipeline, then fine, extend a few days. But you're correct. I mean, oh, don't learn don't learn mistakes from your client. That's what Jacob's trying to say, and it resonates with me because that's what the biggest frustration for me was like, why are you burning your clients to learn, right?
Mhm.
Fork over 5 grand or 4 grand, whatever. Take somebody else's car, take my workshop, take something you learn, give you knowledge and level up properly, and not waste it on from your client. I mean, I think that's the worst thing because that potential client could have given you 10 more or
Mhm.
10 more deals for themselves in the whole entire lifetime, right? They just lost not just one deal, right? So, oh, I love to see where this is going to go, Jacob. And hey, I look forward to see you come across all the way to BC, and eventually when I come back into town, who knows? It might head out that way too. I got cousins and relatives in Ontario and Quebec, so
Well,
we'll see how it goes.
let's hope I come out your way. I think that sounds more fun, and maybe I'd link up with you in Asia.
Actually, even better. Come to the Valley Resort, and then the one resort in Vietnam is we're finishing up in spring, so that's even an amazing one. Geodesic gloam damping, gloam camp, glamping
Nice.
with all the luxuries. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Appreciate your time, Jacob. I'll give you the other detailed links afterwards, and we can post this live as well as help other brokers make the next leap. Look at you, man, grown from one admin to like 40 now, and working way more money, earning way more money with same client or less client. Like I showed you guys, and has that been true?
With
Making more
me,
money with the same client or less?
I don't know. It's hard to say. I'm doing less deals for sure. Like overall, I'm not doing what I was doing in my peak res days to make it all happen, which is fine by me. And even the res
Yep.
deals, they require so many more touches nowadays than they used to, right? So that's the thing I like
Yep.
about commercial. Less competition. You're always making your full commission, and deals are a lot bigger. So I'm going to keep pushing in this direction.
Yeah. I look forward to hear that $50 million close, man. That's where the big money is going to be. The next year is going to be higher than 50. Right? This
Let's
will be
hope.
like the
Yeah,
smallest deal down the road.
yeah. Let's see. Hopefully.
All right, Jacob.
All
Thanks
right.
a lot.
Thank you so much. All right.
Take
All
care,
the
man.
best.
Have an
Take
awesome one.
care.
Bye bye.